Alright everyone, Divine Z is coming out this Friday, and as you can see, I am still in my travels and using a scuff setup, and Kelvin's behind me trying to get to sleep, but I'm talking to you guys about videos about Vanguards, right? It's the best, yeah? So Divine Z is coming up. It's a new set. We're focusing on all the new decks. There are some upgrades to old decks like Magnolia, but let's be real, who really cares about that, right? But I'll probably make some more videos later on about some of the quick start deck upgrades as well as Magnolia, right? But yeah, no, we're focusing on the new things. Some of the new things, the new cards with the divine skills are kind of undeveloped, to put it on the a nicer way of saying it, and a lot of it still, I think, still requires a lot more testing. In my grand opinion, I think that, you know, the stride stuff like Luan and Shuno are continuing to be like the way to go until they get some nerfs. But it's not like some of these decks can't compete. So let's kind of put those in mind while building some of these decks, as well as these are just the preliminary ones, right? These are just things that let's try out. Let's try out some of the new gimmicks before jumping into anything solid, because there's still going to be a lot more time to make solid decks after trying out all the new gimmicks. So first off is the Vaga deck. This one is the like a Dragon Empire restanding, really cool type of stuff. We have some new cyclers in the set that seem all right, that use energy and let you kind of, well, not this guy, I think this guy, right? So if you place this on Guardian Circle or Regard Circle, you can either Counterblast 1 or Energy Blast 2, or is it 3? It's 3, and draw a card. And those are kind of cool, because what you can do with the main gimmick that's like cool here is you can combo this with Defensing Roar, and you should be able to bounce that back to your hand and then kind of reuse that gimmick. But it also lets you kind of go through the early game a bit better, and then just kind of, you know, draw your cards while defending against cards, right? And then the other thing that you probably see a lot in most decks is the Bracing Angel Bracing Angel Ladder. So this one should be in most of decks, like by default, in my opinion. At worst, it's just like an extra soul, and it gives 5k to your Vanguard, and then at best, it gives your whole field resist, so Shinri doesn't totally wreck you. And then, yeah, that should just basically be the base default. There's like a weird car. I don't know if it's a car, just, I don't know, doing wheelies in Japan. I don't know, that's like a first, but yeah. So if you hear something weird, it's that. Yeah, Bracing Angel Ladder just seems to be like a default card that I just kind of want to put in everything, even in like decks that might not feel like you need it, because you go like, hey, you know, the whole board just like disappears most of the time, or, you know, it's the board doesn't matter because I can replace it. It's just an all-around good card that has a very low, very high floor, right? So it's just usually never bad. The rest of the deck is just kind of working around the gimmick. So Vaga can, you know, restand. It retires both front rows, which is surprisingly decent, in that against some of the Shiranui matchups, you can kind of just blow up both front rows, and then in a way leave like nothing there, so that your opponent can't dominate anything next turn on their first stride turn. If they've ridden a Shiranui already, then that won't work. But if you combo that again, like with this on their first stride turn, and then with the Bracing Angel Ladder to follow up, it's just really devastating. A bunch of support. So you've got the new grade 3 that can't be retired, and then this grade 2. They give other cards bounce, red text bounce, and then when she dies as well, you can Counterblast 1 and call it back. So you get like more attacks, right? Which is really nice. You run plus like more of the ride line, just simply because it retires itself and draws a card, so it'll go empty, and then when Vaga does its skill, you know, hey, it doesn't matter because it's not there anymore. And other cards like Brachioforce. Brachioforce is kind of more of a flex card, and really nice in the early game. It lets you kind of control the board as well, because, you know, in the end, you're just going to retire more and more stuff, and it's going to be a straight on your opponent, and that's just how it is. And then lastly, we run this grade 1 that kind of just, again, on boost, can kind of go away and then draw a card. That's it for Vaga. Let's kind of move on to the next deck for Dark States. This is Direful Dolls. This one, it's one of the, it's like not the main focus of Divine Z, but they still gave it a new ride line. I think it's probably the, it's okay, I guess. The gimmick here that I'm kind of going for is like, you have to max out every single Direful Doll, just to kind of maximize, like, your ride line is still all Direful Dolls, but you have to maximize basically like hitting Direful Dolls and soul charging Direful Dolls in order to proc off all their effects. Not going to go through all their effects, but it's just the main one is that you can call a bunch of cards, and then if you call 3 more Direful Dolls, you get +1 drive. You can only call Direful Dolls, by the way. And then the other gimmick is that when he is attacked, you can call a card from the bind zone, and it gets +5k shield. So the gimmick here is that you can bind certain triggers that are also Direful Dolls, and then you can call them out and get bigger shield, which is cool. And then you can soul charge them by your Gungaram, and then soul blast the ones that you don't like. Then Zargon targets specific ones, you can put them in soul. And then you have this Utica support, whose main function here is just to use the axe skill, and you can just kind of bind a trigger in your soul, and then you'll bind the triggers that are Direful Dolls, and then she'll get power, but then you can use it for defensive measures. This is probably also the only deck that doesn't run the ladder. It runs the Grail, because this deck is more aggressive in that you kind of want to develop a board, you know, push your opponent to 5 as soon as possible, and then do a bunch of multi-attacks, and then under the presence of a Persona Ride, so with the Grail, it will help you achieve that, and that is pretty much the deck. Next is the Resal deck. I think a lot of people are interested in this one. This one is just running the... basically, for all these decks, I'm running the base trial line that is coming out for them. Nothing gimmicky yet, just because, again, want to try out new things. This deck, one of the gimmicks here is Katawala, right? So, Resal himself, just when it attacks, it will CB1 and call 2 cards from the drop. You can call it whose grades, the sum of the grades called is equal to less than your damage zone. So for example, if you have 3 cards in the damage zone, you can only call a 3 and a 0, or 2 + 1, etc, etc. And if you have 5, you can call like a 3 and a 2, right, which is pretty cool. This Katawala just kind of pops itself off and lets you kind of plus, and then, you know, you can call into that empty slot and like just kind of maximize returns, right? It does require a soul, so that's why we're running a lot of Drilling Angels as well. So the Drilling Angels will help you fill the soul, and then on the random chance you hit with a Drilling Angel, you'll also get even more, you know, pluses, which is great. And then again, the ladder as well for the, you know, big defensive power. Still running the Cyclers. Again, these just always seem to help you in the early game, or even any game. You just use it's like a more efficient use of energy. Energy Blast 7 equals a +1. Energy Blast 3 to kind of replace itself is also just like it's just a better use of energy, in my opinion. And yeah, this deck is slightly Soul Blast heavy. You don't have to use every single soul. For example, for this grade 2 support, Resal support, you don't need to always use the Soul Blast 1 to +10k. It's just the effect itself is just really good. And then we have a built-in counter charger for the deck as well with the Sage here. It's just a discard one. Discard like a jank card that lets you just counter charge, but it's basically a 13k boost, which is nice. Also, I'm running 4x of this pretty generic card, which is like if you have a grade 3 Resal Vanguard, it's like a 13k power guy and a 10k shield, which is, yeah, 10k shields are always good, and 13k boost is just really good too. But it's like grade 1s. You have like a nice split of like grade 1s and grade 2s that basically let you hit every single you know, grade number, some number that you need. And the main beater is this grade 3. You can't call 2 of these guys, unfortunately, but you always want to see 1. Just when it's called out by the Resal skill, it's like 20. It's a 28k beater, so it's really, really strong. Obviously, some of these changes, I think this deck will probably undergo a lot more changes, and just, you know, trying to maximize min-max. So still a lot going on here. Next is the Stoicaire build. This is the Bug Girl. I think a lot of people like this one because she looks very, very nice. This is, I think, Lascari Verano, right? This card allows you to use multiple Blitz orders in a single turn. Which is great. Well, the Blitz order that combos with it lets you use more Blitz orders in a turn. Her second skill just basically allows you to just countercharge 1 every single turn when your opponent's attack doesn't hit if you play the Blitz order. So very, very cool. It's very cool. The countercharge is a once per turn skill, but the other parts of it where you just draw when you don't get hit is not a once per turn. So you kind of play a very defensive game, which is kind of unique in Vanguard at the moment, right? Right now, just go ham and win the game, and that's that. You basically run every single Lascari Verano card. Sorry, this grade 3 allows you to perform multi-attack, and then also some of the Cyclers to kind of again get you through the early game. You also run old Cyclers, so this one will draw you cards, but the second skill is actually quite relevant in that it can force your opponent's cards to not stand, which will just be very annoying. It's like a weaker retire, but just you're riding out your opponent's cards while, you know, maintaining your own. So that's kind of nice. I think this is probably the card that can be replaced, and you got just other support for the last guy that lets you, for example, you know, grab cards from the drop zone, grab more blitz orders and stuff. So very, very, very cool. And then this is the main blitz order that you run. This one just allows you, it's basically a 20k shield, and you just need energy blast 2 for it. But you do kind of replenish your hand, for example, and let you play more, and you can combo into things like this one, which is a way bigger shield, like a 25k shield, and then a ghost chase, which can bounce. It's like a utility one. All these all let you use your sanctitude, which is very, very big. But yeah, it's kind of a first build for this. Probably more to, again, definitely more to it, more max, min max to it, right? The fifth deck is Welstra. So Welstra, I think, was already pretty decent before. Now you kind of just add in some of the new cards that make it more consistent, in my opinion. So first off, you have a new product. This one allows you to energy charge 3 and also deal 1 damage to your opponent. It's a great first product to activate, but it is a 4th turn only, so that's why we're only running 1. I know some people, you know, running 2. I did try and cut down on some of the orders. So first off, for the Maxim, I'm still running 3, just because if one of them goes away and you only run 2, it just feels really bad. We only run 3 of the base, the flying base one now. This one, don't get me wrong, it's a really good card, but obviously there's other things that you can kind of want to smash into the deck. I'm still running 4 Burble Mine, just because Burble Mine is soul and counter charge, as well as a new card, which is this one, just again also soul and counter charge. You gotta probably flip the numbers here a bit. PGs, and then we're mixing Fry Height. I'm maximizing out all the Fry Heights. And this new, I think it's tall, right? They basically are all on attack activated products. So just drawing any combination of these will allow you to do the max amount of attack. Dog Girl, right? She helps with counter charge, so you can go a bit more ham on some of your counter charges. I mean your counter blast, but you have just a lot more functions on counter charging here, and with the Maxims as well. So yeah, pretty cool. And then lastly, we have the Lyrical Mon. So this is a Chris Rain. Not really sure what to think about this deck. It seems pretty, like, average. The idea behind this deck is you just hit with crits with Vanguard, and then combo this with the on boost that forces your opponent to discard 3 cards when not using a Sentinel. So you combo this with Chris Rain. Chris Rain has the crit, a bunch of power, make them spend all their PGs, and then you divine skill and like kill them on like one big turn, or deal a lot of damage on that one big turn. They run out of PGs, or if they want to save PGs, they're going to pay for it by discarding 3 cards. So that's that, and then just a bunch of extra cards that help you. It's kind of half Highlander, right? We have like 1 aura, 3 search targets here, and then the other multi-card I'm running is 4 of the Anius, which lets you kind of dig for cards and also hits slightly bigger, as well as Velshaban, right? This is always a good cycler, so early game pretty nice, has some decency in the late game too. LV is also pretty cool, just allows your front row not to be targeted. So actually pretty nice against things like Shinui, and then it also has a on-hit counter charge, which is also very cool. Just the rest of it is just put in a bunch of good stuff, like Yuikas, you know, Eileen's that you gotta like hit with a regard to check top deck, and then you can kind of stack it, and then hit with your crit, Chris Rain, and just force them to guard. And if they don't guard, they might just die, right? So that's kind of. It's kind of the way I'm kind of approaching it with this deck. The rest of it is you just need to run one-offs, like a bunch of things. Like one-offs every single PG, right? So yeah, there's like 3 PGs somewhere here. So 1, 2, hopefully I didn't miss it, because then it'll feel really bad. And then just another one, you have the Sanctitude, and then the crits are basically all kind of all over the place. I don't really think there's a soul problem with this deck, so you don't really need to commit to like 4 crits, 4 soul and crits. But you might want to have draws, right? 3x draws, because so far draws are always good. So yeah, that's pretty much all the decks so far. Pretty preliminary, like 50 cards makes it. So yeah, there's a few more cards to maneuver with, right, to put in stuff. So definitely there should be a lot going on going into this format. All these deck logs are in JP deck log. Well, these deck codes are on JP deck log. They'll be in the links below. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And yeah, of course, there will definitely be more changes to the decks, and I'll be very excited to see in the coming weeks how people are developing the Divine Z stuff, because they do have a big hill to climb, right? All the Stride deck sets are really, really strong. So it should be cool to see how they do it. All right, that's it for me. I'll see you all next time. All right, bye.